Well, hello guys, this is Brandon coming back to you again with another something different time. The first one since I think probably right before Thanksgiving of last year, and I just haven't had the time to put into these. It requires a lot of my time editing and getting everything ready for, to go out on every Wednesday. And, you know, right now, this past few weeks, I have actually been busy, and I don't know, I think that sun is causing that fogginess in my lens. I had a little issue the last video I made, and I hope I got that squared away. But we're going to try it anyway and see what happens here. Uh, but it's good to hear from you. I know I've got several new subscribers that came on board recently, and it's so good to hear from you. In your comments, some of you sent me emails and things, so I do appreciate your correspondence. I really love reading your comments and things you have to share with me in your emails. I enjoy that so much. But in regards to my garden, I mean, guys, I cannot complain. I just want to say that I am blessed, abundantly blessed. Uh, you know, some things just didn't go as planned. If I remember back to the first part of the season, we planted the potatoes and things like that down at my dad's. We just didn't get the crop of potatoes that I wanted, but we still got something. I never showed a video of digging those. I guess I should have, but I just didn't have time really. And then the beets, we got a few beets, not that many, but the problem there was the grass just took that field before I could get back in there to it. And I don't live down there, so it's hard for me to really keep an eye on it like it should, and keep it cultivated, and to keep the grass at bay. But we did have something, so I'm thankful for that. But our later garden, now my dad had some issue with his half runner green beans. We got a hummingbird in here, but he had some issue with his half runner green beans. They had beautiful vines, but just did not produce anything. They did get a little bit off of them, but not that much to brag about. But now our peas, our field peas, guys, I mean, they have done real good. And matter of fact, if you remember back a couple of years ago when I had some peas, I'm planting seed from those. And those are a bigger, little bit, almost like a Texas Big Boy pea, but I don't know, I cannot remember the name of these. They are a purple hull pea, but they're a big pea. And if you happen to know that and can share that information with me in the comments, I would appreciate that. They're not the pink eye purple. I had those planted and we've harvested those first. I doubt I'll be getting any more of those. And I've gave away, gosh, I don't know how much I've give away, and I've canned several pints of those. And that's another thing I've started doing, is canning in pints versus quarts. And it's just easier for me all the way around. But those have done real good. But the pumpkin vine, I'm gonna see if I can stick a picture in there. But the pumpkin vine, guys, if you've seen in that picture, I mean, honest to goodness, I think I mentioned it in one of my last cultivating videos. That thing, it's almost covered half of that field, uh, with exception of where the peas are. And there's some humongous pumpkins in there. Uh, so I'm looking forward to that. That's probably the most prolific pumpkin vine that I've ever had. And then out here, I've got the Cherokee Tan that is growing on my deck. It's about took my back deck over, and it's grown in a tub. And we got a little bumblebee flying around now. But it's grown in a tub, and I think I've got 6 so far, but there's still plenty more out here that's not ripe yet. I mean, I'm looking, I can see 3 just where I'm sitting, and I know there's some more back that way, and I know there's some out there on the ground on the other side of it. So it's not nowhere near done yet either. And my fig bush, it's producing figs. I've happened to find out I've got a deer that comes by and gets those. Speaking of deer, we've had some issues with those in the peas, but they've only bothered the lower section. If you remember, when I planted those, I had, I think it was like 4 or 5 rows that y'all saw me cultivate. Well, on the other side of that tall corn, I had a patch left there beside the sweet potatoes, and I just sowed peas in there, and the deer, that's where they have been congregating at. And so I'm glad, that's what I sowed that for anyway, and they left the other alone. So, you know, that's good. So anyway, that's where that's at. And then, like I say, the fig bush down here, we're getting some figs off of that, but the deer's getting them, I'm not. But at least I know it's bearing. And also my little persimmon tree, I found out, is a female. It's got 3 or 4 persimmons on it, if the deer hadn't found those yet. So I sort of doubt it. They're still probably green right now. But that's just a little bit, you know, what's going on. And it's probably going to be October before I dig my sweet potato. I'm going to let my sweet potatoes go just as long as they can, because with the drought and what I have learned from talking to other folks that have sweet potatoes, some people that I've talked to said they don't even have nothing under their vines yet. So with that being said, I'm probably going to let mine go just as long as I can. I've not pulled any of my vines. I don't have that many anyway to pull, and so I've not checked those. So, you know, but outside of the pumpkins, and there's a little bit of grass down on one end that's got in there, but I mean, guys, they are just, they're taking over, and they're actually running into the corn row. And we did manage to get a little watermelon or 2 off of it, but that's my fault. I planted it way too close to the pumpkins and should have never done that. I don't know that next year I probably won't even have any pumpkins. If I do, it'll be the Cherokee Tan, and I'll have it here at the house so I can keep an eye on it. But, you know, if I can put up a little bit, you know, what I do, I can mine here. And if I've got enough to make a pumpkin pie or 2, that's all I really need. And then I've got to learn how to utilize the Cherokee Tan pumpkins. And so that's a new one to me. And so, but that's just a little bit, you know, what I've got going on. I've got preparations to get some things ready for our fall garden just right over here beside of me. I don't know, no, you don't, it's not showing up in the video. Well, yeah, if you look at that white pot over my shoulder there, just the other side of it, there's either broccoli or collards. It's one of the 2. And stupid me, I forgot to label them, but it don't matter. I'll keep them separate when I set them out. But and then down at Mom and Dad's, we're going to sow some creasy greens, and we also want to try to sow some mustard salad, the curly leaf, broadleaf, like that. And here I've got some seed inside. It's it's called True Siberian Kale. And then there's another, it's a real curly leaf kale. And I love kale. And so I'm going to try that here in my garden back here, but I also want to try some, or do some collards and broccoli as well. And that'll probably be all I'm going to have for a fall, winter garden, you know, for this year. There's other things I could do, but I'm just really not, that's really all I care to mess with right now. And our tomatoes done real good, despite me not looking after the vines like I normally would. I mean, I could go out there and get a half a bushel, and you look at them and think, well, there's not going to be but 2 or 3, and you get in there and you get to picking them, and you come to the house with a half a bushel bucket full. Now, something I did do, I did can a few pints over the weekend, but I made spaghetti sauce, and I also made Justro at Metcalf Mills. I made his recipe, his mother's recipe of tomato soup, and haven't really tried it. I just sampled a little bit of it as I was canning it, and it seemed to taste good. So I'm looking forward to that later on in the winter, getting me some of that. But like I say, that's what I did with my tomatoes. I did want to make spaghetti sauce. I wanted to try that. I didn't make a video of it because it's my first time, and so I don't like to experiment in public with things like that, if you know where I'm coming from there. But that's just a little, what's going on around here. I've been busy with a lot of stuff. It's just, some of it's just repetitive that I just didn't see no point in making a video. I could have some of it, I guess, but it is what it is. But I want to talk today on a topic that, I think I've hit on this probably more than one time and previous something different times. But I want to just talk about responsibilities. What are they? What does responsibility mean? And I was thinking back several years ago. I took a job at a little retirement home or rest home facility as maintenance. Well, I was actually the maintenance director there, and I remember something that they said, when they hired me. They said, we want you as maintenance director to take ownership of this property. The responsibility of the upkeep and maintenance of this property, we want it to be your responsibility. And there's a whole lot comes with that. And in other words, if something breaks down, I'm responsible that it gets fixed. And if I can't fix it, I'm responsible for getting the right person there that can fix it. And it's just like the heating and air. I knew very little regarding that, but of course they understood that when they hired me. But I was responsible for getting the correct people there that could get the heat up and running or the AC up and running, whichever the case may be. And most of the time, mine just tended to repairing a door that the hinge was broken, or painting a new room before a resident moves in, cleaning the carpet, seeing that it was good and clean, that the restroom, all the appliances in the restroom was working properly, stuff like that, cosmetic stuff. That was, primarily what I worked on. And it wasn't a bad job. I mean, the residents is what really made it a joy to work there. And, but I look forward to that, all the time. But it's just other things that you have to deal with. It just was not my cup of tea, just to say the least. But taking ownership of something, that means taking on responsibility. And we're living in a day and time now where nobody seems to want any responsibility whatsoever. And I understand as a person gets old, as they age, you're not able to take on as many responsibilities as you get older. You kind of want to let some things go that you used to take there comes a time you've got to take some stuff off of your plate, if you understand what I'm saying. And that's the thing today that's bothering me in society. I see the wrong people taking stuff off of their plates. We've got a generation now that's been on the scene for some time, but they have no endurance whatsoever to be able to stand in the gap, to, be a responsible daddy or be a responsible mother, whichever the case may be, and just stand in the gap and do their job. And, with all that's going on in the MSN right now, about getting debts forgiven, that just ticks me off. I'm just going to come right out and say it. That just absolutely ticks me off. You know what? I would love to have the debt that I owe on this home right here. Why come you can't forgive that? And it's just like my cousin posted on Facebook early this morning. What about medical expenses to especially our elderly population? Why not forgive that? I mean, now that would make more sense than anything across the board, because don't get me started there. That's the biggest joke right now that I've ever seen. If you've got to go and get some kind of treatment or whatever, that is the absolute biggest joke right now. I need my eyes looked at. I need this ear looked at. You know what? I despise to even go because I'll get mad. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I will literally just get mad and walk out the door because it's stupid. And, oh, you got to have one of these on. Like that's really going to make a difference. While I'm right there, I'll share this with you. A lady at work wore these every day. And she's had all of these right here. And I just go on down the line, use this hand sanitizer, all this great stuff that's supposed to help, And she still come down with it. And she's just amazed. She says, I don't understand it. Said, I wear this thing. I've had all of these, and I still got it. I said, now you see how stupid that thing is, how useless that thing is that you've got up here, and how good this thing works. And she said, I still got it. So she don't wear the thing no more. She found out that was a waste of time. And, I just had to throw that in there. But, everybody's just sitting and they're glued to everything that comes across that TV screen that is facts. I got news for you. There's no facts anymore. It's propaganda. It's all about a biased opinion. I don't care if it's to the right or if it's to the left. I don't care which side it is. It's all about biased opinion. They can't nobody just come out and just tell the facts no more. And I'll hazard to say that 99% of what comes over the airwaves is propaganda. And it's leading up to something. People don't believe it. People didn't believe we was going to see what we've seen the past 2 years. People did not believe when I would tell them. Now, I'm grateful that I took notice and started listening and started observing. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that God allowed some people to cross my path, because it's just God. It's not me. It's not anything I've done. And I began to do some preparation early. And that has helped me tremendously, guys, to get through these past 2 years that we've had shortages, we've had all these kinds of things happen. And I just took responsibility to lay up extra supplies, to lay up extra food, to have extra around here. And you know what? I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that God, in His sovereignty, allowed me to be able to do that. And I don't depend on someone else to bring me something. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I purchase something, like, purchase something online and I pay for it, then yeah, I'm dependent on them because I've gave them money and I expect a product in return. But what I'm saying is, I don't expect somebody to come here and clean my house. I don't expect somebody to shell out their food and give to me because I'm too sorry, excuse me, to get out here and have a garden and work and try to grow it and try to have it and try to put it up and save it. I mean, nobody wants to be responsible no more. They expect and guys, that attitude of just a lack of responsibility, that attitude is all across the board now. Even in companies, factories, firms, whatever, from the top all the way down to the bottom. I mean, that is the mentality now. And it's just like on the workforce, everybody's sitting around waiting on somebody else to do their job so they won't have to do it. I've never seen the like anymore in my life of such lazy, good for nothing, just deadbeats that don't want to do nothing. I'm not talking about people that get out here and work like a dog and they don't have time or they're not able to do it. Those are the ones right there that's being, they're being crushed with all the pressure that's just being put on people. You can't get people to work anymore. Nobody wants to work. They want an income, but they don't feel like they should have to do anything to earn it. And what it's doing, those of us that really care, I'll never forget something. I'll share this with you. I had an inspector years ago one time when I was line fixing on knitting machines. And I'd get so aggravated, so frustrated. My line would get shut down, machines get flagged, stuff, and you just have to stand in there and dig into it till you got it straightened out. And I'd just get so ill, so frustrated, at night, working on it. And she come to me one time, she said, I know this upsets you and makes you angry, but she said, don't take this the wrong way. She said, but really, she said, that shows that you care about your job. You care whether these machines run or not. Because I want to say something. If those machines are not running, your company is not making money. It's got a red light on it. When that machine stops, it's red for a reason. And it's also got a green light. And when that green light's on, that means this right here. And it was that way. It was designed that way for a purpose. And I'll never forget her telling me that. That kind of helped calm me down just a little bit. But I had to, there again, I took responsibility of my set of machines. And when I didn't have flags, when I didn't have, anything to work on, so to speak, everything was running good, I took my time and I went through my machines and I cleaned them. I would take and fix different aspects on them, just kind of do a little preventative maintenance. Because I wanted my set to look good. Even though I was only there 8 hours a night, I didn't care what the other fixers done that was on my set. It was mine during that, and it was going to look good. And if I come in and I found where somebody had done something that I had done, it made me mad. Because, that's the way I want it. That's just the way I am. It's just like where I'm at now. I have a certain way that I want things set up. And that's the way it's going to be. On my 8 hours, that's the way I'm going to run it. Unless my boss comes and says, no, I want you to do it this way, then that's the way we're going to do it. But long as they're good with it, that's the way it's going to be. But we got people nowadays, honest to goodness, they just simply do not care. And I just was not raised that way. Take ownership of it. if it just pretend like it was yours, how would you want it run? I just can't stand this no care mentality that people have today. And it has so infiltrated our world, especially in the workforce. And it's not just where I work, it's not just where you work, guys. Everybody I talk to that's in some kind of management, so to speak, everybody, it's this way everywhere you go now. Or at least that is around here. Now, I don't know other parts of the country, but I'm just talking about around here. And it literally, it just, I don't know, it just gripes me. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to change. I don't fit into this world, and as time goes marching on, the less I fit into it. But you know what? Does not matter. I'm still going to do just like I'm doing. Because I care. I don't want to see another factory shut down. That's why I do what I do. Because I care about the company that I work for. You should care about who you work for. You should take ownership and take pride in your job. See, that's something, it's frowned upon now. And, you know, well, I don't know. Maybe I was just born out of, like the Apostle Paul, man born out of due time or due season. I forget how it was worded. Maybe that's me. I don't know. But I'm just simply saying, what I'm seeing today, it's going to have a recompense somewhere up the road. And what I'm seeing, there's going to be a major meltdown with our labor. Uh, quality is the biggest thing right now that means absolutely nothing. It's all about how cheap we can make it. And that way, you know, and you know what that bottom line boils down to. And that's another thing. I've got to where just because it's got a cheaper price on it, that don't mean I'm going to jump on it. I want to look at how well something is put together when I purchase something. I want to look at where it was made. I want to look at how it was made. And those things are important to me because I don't want to buy something 3 times that's junk because it wears out, you know, after using it about 3 times, and then you got to turn around and buy another. I don't like to do that. I want to buy it 1 time, and I don't want to have to buy it no more. That's just me. And you know, we've got, I don't know how it is in your area, but we've got these little Dollar Generals just popping up everywhere around here. I do very, very little shopping there. Now I might go in and get cleaning supplies, things like that, but I do very, very, very little there. And matter of fact, I'm doing a lot less shopping anywhere and doing more online now than I used to, because I can find more of what I am actually wanting. I just recently bought a pressure cooker, a new one. Well, it's not brand new, but it was like new. And I wanted an extra one for my mother to use, you know, when she would can anything that required pressure cooking. And it's a little simpler to use than the old one that I've got. This one's kind of self-regulating, and you know, you don't have to adjust your heat to watch the gauge and all this, that, and the other. But I was tickled to death over that. That's probably been the biggest thing I've bought recently. And then I did buy a little food mill, Roma food mill, and I love that thing. I mean, you can process tomatoes in no time and separate your pulp from the seeds and the peelings, and I mean, guys, that thing just a breeze. And that's how we made our spaghetti sauce and our tomato soup. But you know, those are a couple things that I have purchased recently, and even, you know, clothes that I wear, like my overalls, these Roundhouse overalls. I'm not getting paid by Roundhouse, but I'm gonna tell you right now, they're some of the best that I've ever had. I've wore other brands, and the material that they're made of is junk. These right here are almost a year old. Matter of fact, I've got some in there that's over a year old. And guys, the fabric in them, the denim, is still just as good as it was the day I put them on. And I mean, I wear them. I wear my overalls now. I work in them, and I work hard in them. And I cut wood. I mean, I do all kinds of things in them. My first ones, I had the low backs and the buttons pulled out. But I made do. I just used a tie strap, put them right back on. I mean, they work just as good. But that's the only thing wrong with them. But the last two pair I bought the high back, so I don't have that problem. But guys, I mean, these are actually, now they are actually comfortable to wear because they're broke in good. They're a little softer than they was, but the fabric is just as good in them now as the day they were bought. And I love these Roundhouse overalls. And as a matter of fact, they even cost less than the other brand. I mean, considerable less. I'm looking at maybe saving about 40 to 45% less than the others I was using, that I'd used a long time. I won't call the name, but just is what it is. And but you know, I think about the people that probably work here and make these. I hope they take pride in these, because you've got a good product. You've got something good that you can be grateful for, that you can look back and say, I'm glad that I make something that's worth value. And they take responsibility and they do their job, and they do it with pride. Not a sinful pride, but it's a pride that you can be thankful for, that you've done your best. You know, I've had times I'd go into work and it just seemed like everything I touched just fell apart. Or I could be around here, especially around here. Seemed like everything I touched just fell apart. But I'll never forget something my daddy taught me. Do the best you can. That's all anybody can ask for. Do the best you can. But if you just throw your hands up and walk away and quit, you're not gonna have nothing. That's a failure. And sometimes I feel like a failure. I beat myself up so many times because things just don't pan out the way I feel like they should. It's just like I'm sitting here and I planted those Cherokee yellow wax beans and some more jade bush beans here on my back deck. Now I got one mess off of them, but for the most part, guys, they are an absolute failure. But that's okay. I've still got plenty of beans. I'm not, you know, worried about that. But some of it's my fault. I probably planted them just a little too late. I don't know. But Lord willing, there's going to be some onions going in there very, very soon. And I'm going to be making a video on that, hopefully. But I want to do it from start to finish, have it all in one video. And that way maybe it'll help someone next year that wants to get into growing onions. And that was another thing I didn't mention, was my onions. They really done great. Had some humongous Walla Walla onions. And I'll say more about that in another video. But guys, I know it's been kind of back and forth scattered today. But if God's given you responsibilities, as allowed responsibilities, take those responsibilities. Be thankful for those responsibilities. And do those things that God has given you. You know, God said if we would be faithful over the things that He's given us, that He would make us ruler over cities, you know, in in the Word of God. He teaches us that. And that's the thing today. A lot of people just don't care. They just do not have no gumption. There's that word again I've used before. Don't be one of those guys. Let's just take on responsibilities. Say, this is what I've got. Roll up our sleeves. No matter how bad we feel, how dirty the job is, be thankful. I don't have a high-class job, I'll tell you that. But you know what? It pays my bills. It keeps a roof over my head. And I'm thankful to God for it. And I'm thankful to God for everything, because I don't deserve nothing. And I'm really thankful. I mean, I'm truly thankful. And I'm blessed too. And while I'm at it, I want to hit on one little, and I'm going to let y'all go. One little thing. I don't like to use the word luck or lucky, because that word comes from another word in the Word of God that's only mentioned one time. And it's found in the book of Isaiah. And it's called Lucifer, the name of Satan. And that's where the word luck actually comes from. And I try not to use that word. Now, it's a habit everybody's got. But once I learn different, I've tried not to use that word. Sometimes it still slips out, like I say, out of habit. But I don't consider myself lucky. I consider myself blessed. And anything I have is way yonder more than I deserve, than I'll ever deserve. And I just consider it the blessings of God. And God's been truly good to me. I want to publicly declare that. And I hope and trust He has you too. So guys, thank y'all for listening. I know it's been scattered today. And hopefully, Lord willing, we can get these going. I apologize for not having any content much lately. But hopefully we can get something in the future. And y'all have a great day. And thank you guys from Little NC Farm.